Today I want to recap Week 14 in the Big Ten, talk about what we learned and what we know going forward. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. So it's college football related, sports related. We have a good time today. I want to talk about the Big Ten, what we learned and what we know going forward. And we reached a milestone in the Big Ten. Everybody in the conference has at least 2 wins. Congratulations to all of you for not actually being as atrocious as we once thought you were going to be. Now, Michigan, Maryland got postponed, and Michigan shut down their facilities on Wednesday and won't reopen until Monday. And we'll find out whether or not the game gets played on Saturday over the course of the week. Northwestern had its game canceled against Minnesota. At one point, Minnesota had like 47 positives within its program. Not a good look, but Northwestern still hoisted the Big Ten West trophy with Indiana handing a loss to Wisconsin. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Congratulations to the Fighting Reese Davises, who had the honor of probably getting destroyed by the Big Ten East champion, for which we will talk about. Penn State and Rutgers played a football game. Good for them. Penn State wins 23-7 to move to 2-5 alongside Rutgers, which is exactly where you want to be as a Penn State fan. Now, I say that tongue-in-cheek because, yes, they are down to the 4th and 5th string tailbacks. Pat Fryermuth no longer there. Like, the one shining spot has been Jahan Dotson, but it was kind of DOA after Indiana got the dramatic overtime victory to launch themselves into the stratosphere in as far as Indiana football goes. And they're a top 15, even the top 20 program, top 10 program, I think, in the college football playoff rankings based on the carnage that we had seen over the weekend. Nebraska beats Purdue 37-27, even though Jack Plummer went 33 of 47 for 334 yards, 3 tutties. Dedrick Mills, 16 carries, 60 yards for Nebraska. And then David Bell is really coming on strong, 10 catches for 132 yards. I think that Purdue could be good next year. They're certainly going to be able to move the football and perhaps challenge for the Big Ten West title. Nebraska still trying to get back to good. Bill Moos came out and said, as long as I'm the athletic director, Scott Frost is going to be the head coach. He's beloved there. They're going to probably endure they're going to endure their 4th straight losing season, 3rd straight since Scott Frost took over, but hope springs eternal in Lincoln. Iowa comes from behind to beat Illinois 35-21. They're 5-2. Illinois is 2-4. Spencer Petras, 18-28 for 220 yards, 3 tutties. Tyler Goodson ran the ball 19 times for 92 yards. Iowa is basic in the Big Tennis way possible. It's not really exciting football, but they tend to win more games than they lose year in and year out. Indiana, number 12 Indiana, beats number 16 Wisconsin 14-6. Graham Mertz is 20 of 34 for 202 in that game with a pick. Shout out to Indiana, who came out with Jack Tuttle. That means no Michael Penix Jr. and managed to win an ugly football game and improve to 6-1 and still has an opportunity to play in the Big Ten championship game. Now, that all depends on what happens this week, as Ohio State, I believe, solidified itself as the number 4 team in the country with a 52-12 victory against Michigan State. Now, I talked about this in the comments yesterday. I need to apologize. I don't know why I said 10 starts for Justin Fields. It's stupid, right? Like, come on, man. He's played 5 this year, and it was like 14 last year, so 19 starts for him. But point that I was making there still stands. You want him to play more football, right? I want to see him play more football. And if he gets this game against Michigan, that's more football being played. But remarkably, Fields had 3 starters on the offensive line that were not there. The only guy playing his regular position on the offensive line was Wyatt Davis, and Harry Miller looked like he was having the roughest time handling the snap. It was the most NFL-ready game that I've ever seen Justin Fields play, and I mean that. Like, he really picked up the slack for an offensive line that was trying to find its way, and for a defensive secondary that didn't look great for stretches, especially in the second half when Peyton Thorne went 11 for 11 to start in replacement of Rocky Lombardi, which leads us all to question, why is Lombardi even starting quarterback for Michigan State? Even before he got hurt and needed to be taken out of the game, Peyton Thorne also gives them an opportunity to pick up yards on the ground when they need to move the ball. And I think watching Chris Olave be a pro's pro, which is what Ryan Day called him, go 10 catches for 139 yards in that game gives me a new appreciation for him as a player. Almost everybody agrees that Chris Olave is the most polished wide receiver at Ohio State and has had a remarkable come up at Ohio State. But also they agree Garrett Wilson is more talented, which is scary because he's only going to get better. Trey Sermon goes over 100 yards in this game, 10 carries for 112 yards with one as long as like 64. But in beating Michigan State by 40, you've also beaten a team that beat the Big Ten West champ. But more than that, when you're down 23 players and 4 full-time coaches, including the head coach and the quarterback's coach, you're asking your quarterback in Justin Fields to do quite a bit. And it was a leadership opportunity for him, one that I'm sure he and or Jonathan Cooper, captain for the defense and for the team, did not expect to have on their shoulders in March. And after this season and what they did to fight to play this year, I am still overwhelmed and just blown away by Fields and Cooper and really those upperclassmen who have chosen to lead in such an awesome way. Like Shaun Wade has back-to-back games with a pick, but also is the leader in that secondary that has been torched from time to time. They have an opportunity to continue to show that they are getting better with every game played. And that's one of the reasons why I think that the committee, now watching this game, knowing that Ohio State was tremendously undermanned and still put up 52 and still beat Michigan State by 40, needs to leave them at that 4 spot, especially as Texas A&M needed to come from behind against a 3-loss Auburn team who lost to a South Carolina team that fired its head coach and has already hired its new head coach in Shane Beamer. The more you look at Ohio State, the more you see that they have the firepower and the talent and the culture to compete with Alabama. And I think that right now they are the best bet to beat Alabama in a semifinal or national championship game. I don't think that Clemson or Notre Dame have that depth. One of the reasons that I believe this is what we saw against Michigan State. Like, you could say that Michigan State's not a good football team, but still beat Northwestern, right, to hand them their only loss. So I don't want to hear that. I also know that Mel Tucker and Scotty Hazelton put together an outstanding defense, and they will be competitive in the years to come. But knowing that you can basically play with your backups and still go out there and get results. Haskell Garrett has a pass breakup pick 6 as a defensive tackle 3 months after being shot in the face to get Larry Johnson his win. And that was also very cool as he's the first black head coach to run the sidelines for Ohio State in its really long and illustrious history. A lot of good positives for me coming out of that game, most of which is Justin Fields looks like the field general once again, took command of an offense, took command of a team that needed his veteran leadership in the worst way. And now they get an opportunity to beat Michigan, we hope, on Saturday. And if it doesn't happen against Michigan, they'll get another game, I'm sure. They'll probably get perhaps even a Maryland, right? They're on the they could be that team. Like, do you need them to get to 6 games? No. I want the Big Ten to stick with this rule, but I understand why it might not. Because there's a lot of money on the line here. If you have an opportunity to get Ohio State into the playoff, the conference stands to make about $10 million across the playoff and across the New Year's Six bowls. Also, there's all the TV ratings that you're going to get from a Big Ten championship game that has Ohio State in it. So that's my roundup. Let me know if you like it in the comments below. Deuces.